So my name is Faye, and my first question is, what was it like for you to be an actor in the 1960s and 70s? It was such a magical time because
Why is it magical? You see, I interview people.
because because when I mentioned your name, to my mom, she lit up because she remembers at that time in the US and in Europe there were just not that many movies, and you were this Asian iconic actor who was working and thriving. What was it like for you?
First of all, if your mom is living in uh, America, she's not talking about me, okay? But it doesn't matter because in England I was very well known, okay? What's it like? I'm talking about 60s and 70s. The world, I can only talk about England, okay, because I lived in London, was wonderful in London because everything was changing. It was just Second World War finished, and the young people are rebelling. What are they rebelling against? Class? Against, in a way, let's face it, the 60s belongs to the young people, and in the West as well as in the East. And I'm going to get into trouble for that. In the West, it's all about love. Love, 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 to a point sex becomes all free. That's the bit. The women started to burn their bras, everything, etc. In the East, in China, I'm going to say this, and I know I'm not allowed to say this. It's about hate. Hate everything. So, it's a magical time. Fortunately, I was in London, number one. In the theater, it was changing as well. It is the older theater is changing to new, and some of it is. There's one play called "Look Back in Anger," very, very famous. It's about a young man who is terrible. I mean, he's so awful that one of the audiences climbed up some old lady and socked him, because he is being not happy with the British society. So, and then there's theater of absurd, which in China you had too later on, Huang Tang Xi.
Today and yesterday, since watching your film, I thought to myself, today young actors could look up to certain people. For example, people look up to you all the time, especially for Asian actors. But back then, who did you look up to? How did you find your character?
My father is Zhou Xingfang. I mean, you couldn't get. He's one of the greatest actors of that last century, and he has all the good ethics about acting. And so I've seen the sky, as I always tell my students. I've seen the sky. So I'd always tell young people, you must aim high. If you only if you aim at the sky, you may hit a tall tree, you may. You never get to the sky. If you aim at a high tree, you might get a lower bush, but if you don't aim at anything, you just, and I find a lot of Asian, somebody who tact is not one of my virtues. A lot of Asians are very satisfied with mediocrity. So that's my advice to young Asians.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
My name is Felix. So I thought it was a very lovely film. It was a very funny film that I saw last night, Lucky Grandma. During the Q&A session last night, you said that you knew you were going to be an actor when you were 3 years old. I'd like to hear more about that moment. Do you have a memory of that moment, what it was like, or is it something that your parents kind of retold you after the
No,
fact?
you just become a very horrible little show-off little brat, you know, and come home and act out, you know. And I just knew. But I also was born on tour. You know what that means, right?
Yeah, with your father.
Yeah. So therefore, I already started to travel. So, you know, and I also apparently that my father was touring, and then because I'm 1/8 Scottish, so I had very blonde, not blonde, but brown hair. So they knew whose little girl it was. So the minute I could walk, I walked out of the house just by myself. So so then of course everybody knew who was that child. So they brought me. Of course, my father said, "Doo-doo." So that's how I. That's what my mother told me. Anyway.
I want to ask a follow-up question about advice you have for the younger Asian Americans, particularly actors.
Yeah.
As you know, it's difficult as an Asian actor to find roles in Hollywood and mainstream films. Do you think what kind of advice would you give to young Asian actors that may be different today because things are changing with
First of all,
new films like Crazy Rich Asians, The Farewell, Always
I've
Be My
heard this
Maybe.
like billions of times, and I am very sick of it. I say now to the actors, especially male actors, don't see yourself as a victim. He keep on saying again. You ask this. We don't get jobs, you know. We always don't get jobs. I have people. When I was on Broadway, she happens to be Jewish. Oh, by the way, you don't never see Chinese. You know, Chinese don't come and support Chinese themselves. Okay, that's a reason too. So the woman said, "Oh, you now on Broadway, but what happens to you next now?" And I even have somebody at the side of in some place who herself I will not describe because it's politically incorrect, tells me that I can't get a job because I'm Asian. What I'm saying is we are advertising ourselves. I'm Asian, don't employ me. Asians tend to think themselves as victims. Were we victims? Yes, we were victims. But if you think yourself a victim, you will be treated as a victim. Oh, she's Asian. We don't have to pay her or him very much. Oh, and if she's a woman, we don't even have to, so it's a double whammy. So stop whining because it's very, very boring and it's like a broken off record. But things have changed because most of you, well, your generation speaks the language. It's all about the language. Why a Chinese waiter in a restaurant very rude? What you want? What up? It's the fear and the barrier of the language, all right? And you know when a race is integrated, by what? I'm going to ask you. By what? What?
With a smile.
I'm not a smiler, no. You've all heard of the joke, every parents want Asians to be doctors, engineers, lawyer. No. What else? Doctor, engineer, and something else. None of them require language. Now you have lawyers, you have political commentators. That's where the race, as I see it, has integrated because you need the language.
Susan told me you spent some time in Boston at Tufts. Could you share some stories, your memories here, like in Chinatown, maybe at Tufts?
Well, I mean, it's to me, it's a very important part of my life because it was a time I was very, very low. I lost all my money in England. Okay, so I'm literally not a penny. So I had to go and find a job, and I don't even know how to. I never worked in the office before, and I don't even know what a stencil is. And I did finally got a job. I could type pretty badly, you know. This is a funny story, anyway. And it's a typing pool, and it's an insurance company, okay. So the name is very long, and. So after a while, Terry getting very bored. I said, why don't I shorten the names so it becomes all initials?
Become
So, you know, it's like Kimberly, Chin, Wilson, and company. I thought, well, why not K, Chin, C, and W? So at the end of the day, at that time I was 40, but the light must be very bad or good. I was told by the woman, the supervisor, to come in and said, "You're fired." Okay? So it's the first time I ever been fired. And I was quite upset. But I was also volunteering for women at NOW, National Organization of Women. And on the will, I'll accept the phone, and you'll be surprised the men the phones and how horrible they try to. And on that wall is what's that Israeli woman, Prime Minister?
Golda Meir.
Yeah, and underneath it, and she can't type. So that's the beginning of Boston. Also, where I met this one. Then I did what in those days it's again called poor theater. I mean, it's very theatre. Grotowski, Otto, all that. It's all about using physical instead of dialogue, you know. So that's how Tia and I met. And then I did more theater. And the great thing is I joined a theater group that's multiracial. This is the beginning of the movement. And I started to play classical theater, Clytemnestra. You probably don't know who. It's okay, don't worry. You're not a Greek scholar. But the one most wonderful thing, of course, is playing Hester Prynne. And then, of course, yes, just very quickly, I decided to go to university, and nobody wants me because I don't have a BA. I have a diploma from Royal Academy, and I'm not going to spend 3-4 years doing a BA. So everybody said no, and Tufts University wrote to me and said, come over. Of course, I did have 2 letters from 2 people which you definitely so famous, but you definitely don't know. One is Jules Pfeiffer, and the other is David Halberstein.
The Chinese immigrants back then compared to now, what's the biggest change here, like in Boston?
Chinese what?
Immigrants.
Immigrants.
The situation,
It changes all the time, you know, depends which wave of immigrants. In the beginning, of course, are peasants, because, you know, they have to, and also from Toisan, from Hong Kong. It's not an accident, not from Hong Kong, from Canton. It's not an accident, it's from the south, not from the north. I mean, they have to be a refugee in Shanghai first, you know what I mean? So, they're different ones. I don't know whether it's the recent one. Well, the recent one are every Chinese people, they all have an apartment here.
I'm from Zhengzhou, Henan. I told you before.
Henan.
Yes, but I do spend like 4 years in Shanghai.
Okay, how's your Shanghainese?
Like 0
Don't
still.
worry, Shanghainese are so loud, you know.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
The
So,
Cantonese and the Shanghainese. Oh, great. Yeah.
so my question is, based on your experience in the industry for that many years, what has changed in terms of Asian community in the movies industry, and what like also like their portrayals?
Wait a minute. Well, I think the Chinese actors or Asian, I'm just going, are better, trained, know the language. Also, I'm always telling it another thing about you shouldn't come to interview me because you're gonna get many lectures. Artists have to travel. In my time, we traveled and we did another thing. It's called READ. So that it's better, but in some ways, of course, it's more integrated. And don't forget, Asians are now on the rise, so people have more respect for Asians. Also it's the rise is called MONEY, money. Okay, there's respect for money, even in the industry. Everybody wants Chinese money, and so China has power, more power, and the audience is, enormous. I say to Western people, look, 1 million is nothing in China, And also I said to a lot of Western people, I said, you to forget that China is the longest continuous civilization in the world, all right? Jewish, yes, but Jewish didn't have a land. They didn't. And people forget that China has only been weak since 1830. That's a very short time. So if China get it all together, how can China be it's huge power, So that makes the immigrant more confident. And it depends, Vancouver is built by the Hong Kong immigrants. They're very clever. New Zealand is by the poorer because it's nearer to China, So there's a wave all the time. And the main thing is there are still Chinese in restaurants and stuff who doesn't learn English. And that's very bad. And as people who are in China, they don't learn Chinese. If you're going to a country, you must learn that language,
So after this movie, do you have any other plans in the future?
When I was doing the movie, I was doing 3 other things.
What
I'm
are
doing
those?
2 animation. One is already out, Abominable. The other, I was doing a documentary which I will not mention because I'm not very pleased with it. So I just got another. I don't know. I don't think I can do another Lucky Grandma. Let's face it, I'm too old. Actors don't retire. It retires you.
不，我不是，我只是本科期间有学，我是学英语文学的，所以就是我们也有排莎士比亚的戏剧，这是我上学时候的经历。
你们排什么戏剧？
我有我知道你有排过给学生排过暴风雨是吗？我们也有排过，还有
哪里排过？
就是上学的时候，只是
在哪里？在
杭州，对。
OK。
对，我们当时有一个老师，他特别致力于在学生中培养学生的兴趣和在这方面的推广。我很幸运。我现在想问一下，您在北京给中央戏剧学院学生上课的那一段经历，您带来的最大的感受和回忆起来，觉得是一段什么样的经历？可以分享一下吗？
我去的时候是81年呢，而且我非常高兴是在那个时候，因为刚刚文革就是结束了我的普通话不是、
没关系
也是
没关系，
因为我从小时候从来不说普通话的，OK
说上海话是吧？
我们不学普通话的，所以81年去的时候，那个我怎么说 ？The residue of cultural revolution 还在，所以我接受了很多东西。第一我教的东西他们从来没听见过，OK？因为那个时候，这些老师已经10年、15年没有教，根本就不知道什么，而且对斯坦尼斯拉斯基爱得不得了，都是就写前 subtext， 怎么说？
潜台词。
潜台词I see。
好，我说，第一，大家都鞋子脱下来，坐下来，坐在地上，不许带一支笔，一张纸，我不要你抄，你学的东西你要从你身体里边走来，因为演员的工具就是这个，这是工具，没有一个乐句，懂吗？而且就是开始放松，叫to teach them how to relax。我可以说是第一个教yoga 的人。最可爱的时候就是我教yoga加瑜的瑜伽的时候，很多这些你们小朋友说，我说你们中国有非常好的一个就是太极，太极都是老太太做的。那个时候在英国，皇家戏剧学院演员都会太极。就是说，在很多这不单是中国人，我们自己的东西，我们有的时候很多现在中国根本就不知道惊喜是什么，这是，所以还有很多，所以我知道已经看到那个文革的时候他们怎么生活的。不然的话我根本就不知道，因为后来以后大家都开始有钱了，你们根本就没有
经历过
享受过文革。所以是非常好，是一个非常好的经验。当然我也，他们选我选得很好，因为我什么都不怕。很多人不喜欢我，尤其是这种老的这种男的。可是因为我去的时候，中国人说有靠山呢，靠山你懂吗？有山可靠，懂吗？
是具体指的靠山是谁？
那是中
什么人？
国话，
哦
山。
哦
I have a mountain that is
Oh.
very Chinese, because my father,
Yeah, because
but,
of the
and
culture.
all the people who were in jail are all out. They're the powerful one now.
Oh, yeah,
You see
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I see.
So the people who 就是要我来是曹禺，曹禺谁知道吗？
我知道，
曹禺是谁知道吗？
戏剧作家。
你们的脸都是。OK。
Yeah, you met him in New York, I know.
我爸爸是出名不是什么？
对
我爸爸是
对
什么全词人都认识的。
是。
那当然了，所以他们来请我，因为为什么？为什么就会请我？没有人懂外国戏剧了。
对。
他们根本什么人都不知道，只知道一个人，你们一定不知道了。现在 ，Brecht，Do you know who Brecht is？
布莱希特，德国的一个就是很有名的戏剧导演。布莱希特。
就是这个人，别的人 Arthur Miller 最出名的人完全不知道。所以没有办法，而且我是中国人，周信芳的女儿，而且我虽然不是京剧演员，我小时候总是在看京剧的，
耳濡目染。
而且我是那个东方的Western Theater，所以巩俐这些人都是我的，怎么说my grand teacher, the student. That's the first thing I said to Gong Li. You're my grand student.